Hi, I'm Bob, and I'm going to try to start with some simple scales and chords. And this is basically for people who are maybe play guitar, play other instruments that don't play the keyboards. Beginner keyboard players can use this too, but you're probably going to have to go over the lesson a few times before you be able to use it effectively. I'm going to start very basic with what a scale is. When you play in a different key, you hear the term, I'm going to play that in the key of A, or I'm going to play that in a different key of C, that you're going to play notes in the A scale or the C scale that sound good together. A note is basically sound frequency, and some frequencies like each other and some frequencies don't like each other. And we're listening to music and we're attuned to what we like to hear and what we don't like to hear. Different kind of music, especially jazz, breaks through those barriers and plays things that we're not used to hearing put together. But today we're going to pretty much work on things that we're used to hearing. So a C scale has no sharps and flats. A sharp, if this is a C, a sharp is a half step up, is a C sharp. If this is a D, a flat is a half step down. That'd be a D flat. Same key, D flat, C sharp. For guitar players, that may be a revelation of why that is, that they're the same key for two different names. In the key of C, there are no sharps and flats. In the key of G, there is one sharp. In the key of D, there are two sharps. In the key of F, there's one flat. In the key of B flat, there's two flats, and so on. Those are things that you have to basically memorize by rote, unless there's an accordion player out there, and that's a whole different story. It makes it easier if you know how to play the left hand of an accordion. Now, let's look at the C scale. It starts, you got three keys, two keys, starts at the base of the two keys, and it's the old do re mi song. Do re mi fa sol la ti do. It sounds natural. It's not a full step every key. It's full step up, no black note, half step up, full step up, full step up, full step up, half step up. So again, with guitar players, this may be a revelation of why an E is not an F is not two frets up from an E. So, knowing the scale has got what we call intervals. An interval is a space between, away from the root. Here's the root. That's a 1. That's a C. Interval 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1. And being 8 is an octave. So you have an octave here, begins here, you got another octave down here. So where you play in the keyboard, you're always going to be playing these same 12 notes, but they're different octaves. So we can have a scale of a C, a D. We're going to space up here, that would be C sharp and a D. So those are, again, things you can get a chart for on the internet, and you're going to pretty much have to memorize, rote, the different key structures and which keys have how many and which sharps and flats. So for today, though, we're going to skip on to how to make a chord. We've got intervals. We're going to make a chord out of a major chord, the most common one in classic rock and blues, is the first, third, and fifth interval of a scale. And you'll recognize it. Sounds good. It's a chord. These notes fit together. All hit together as a chord. The first, third, and fifth of a D is E, F, and so on. So the next session we'll learn about different kinds of chords, but the major chord will get you started on playing some songs. Now you might have heard the expression is the 1-4-5 chord structure, and a lot of blues, a lot of classic rock, early 60s rock just play a 1-4-5. Well, we learned at the intervals a 1, a 4, and a 5 are the intervals, and that's what that stands for. If it's a 1-4-5 in D, it's... So these are the chords. The 1-4-5 stands for the chords that you're going to play in sequence. So a song is going to start with a... Play the C, F, G. So how many blues songs have you heard playing that blues song? All using the 1-4-5 chord structure. Now, the other way you can play a chord is called an inversion. An inversion is where you play the same notes of a chord, but you play them in a different order. So an inversion of C might be, I'm still playing the E, I'm still playing the G, I'm still playing the C, but instead of playing this, I'm playing this. Has a little bit different sound. The way that I do this, and one of the reasons you do inversions for key players, it's not that you're lazy, but things move pretty quickly in some songs. You don't have to move your hand from C all the way to a G and back to an F and back to a C. The ideal way to play chords in a song, unless you have to have a special riff that those chords played in different inversions, is to not have to move your hand very far. 1 or 2 notes at most. So if I play C and I play an inversion of F here, all I have to play move these 2 fingers. These 2 fingers, this stays the same. Go to the G, an inversion that starts with a D, G. So I'm really not moving my fingers. Not more. Each finger's not moving more than 1 key for each chord. So those are chords played in inversions to facilitate a particular sound that you want, or just to make it easier to play. Another thing to remember about chords, they may sound different in different keys. This major C chord, there's a nuanced feel to a major A chord. In fact, I play accordion, and the vibration of the buttons are recognizable. When I press down a C button, I know that's a C button. When I go up to a G button, it's got a little bit of softer feel to it, but it's still it's a different set of frequencies that are put together. So you wonder, well, why do songwriters write things in different chords? Because C seems pretty simple. You don't have to use any sharps or flats. Well, especially when you're playing with guitars and any other instruments that have open keys, like a trumpet can have an open valve, or a sax can have several open valves. Take, for example, a guitar. They like to play in the key of E and the key of A because that E string is open, which means you're not pressing it down against a fret, it's just ringing out. And that has a better resonance to it than if you were playing E that didn't use that open string. So you can hear the same song played in different chords, and they may sound different because of the way the frequencies of the notes interact with each other, and how whatever instrument is being played, how playing that note is different because it's open. For example, the open string on a guitar. So that's it about basic scales and some basic major chords and how those work. To learn, it takes a lot of practice. You need to look up the charts on the internet of which keys comprise, for example, an A scale and an A chord, and in my next session we'll talk about different kinds of scales and different kinds of chords.